Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Chip Baker and my good friend Tammy, and we're here for another one of our virtual book tours. Great opportunity for us to highlight some amazing people, and we always look forward to it. So get ready. This will be no different. Tammy?
Just excited to be here. I think we have three amazing guests that have some unique stories. And I'm excited to hear more in detail, Chip,
Yes,
and
yes.
about your book, your new one.
Uh-oh. well, let's, well, let's dive into it.
All right. Well, before we get started, I'm often asked, how can you support your favorite authors without having to buy the books? So I always like to show this graphic. I think it gives some unique ways that we still can show support without having to buy some books. So if you're out there listening to us, I challenge you to support each of these authors in some way on this graphic. And now I'm going to hand it back to Chip.
All right. So the first book that I'm going to highlight today is The Impact of Influence. And this book, we just dropped it the 27th of March. So, I mean, it is fresh, brand new book. Really excited about the project. It's a compilation book with 17 authors, 16 powerful authors than myself. uh, but we just sharing our stories of, things or people that have impacted us in our life, of the lessons that we've learned from that, and then how we're using those lessons that we learned to influence and impact the world in a positive way. And so it's a great book. It's crazy. Like, I'm in the book, but I'm excited to read it. And take notes and learn from all of the guys in there, because it's a great group of men, anywhere from preachers, superintendents, businessmen, entrepreneurs, production company people. So it's a good, mix of men that are doing great things. And so it's a great read. So that's the first book, The Impact of Influence.
Chip, can I ask you real quick?
You
Tell
sure
us
can.
a nugget from your chapter.
A nugget from my chapter. I just, for me, what I did in my chapter, I I reflected on the people that, because I felt that if I just picked one person, I'd be doing that. All those other people that loved me throughout my life, I'd be doing them an injustice. So I couldn't do it. So I just picked some traits. And the first one, I'll just give you the first one. I broke down impact. I'm an acronym guy. So I broke down impact, and I'll just give you the first one. I think they initiated uh, change. People that impacted in my life, they were change agents. They did great things to just help whatever situation they were in. And that was great for me to see that, because it showed me that I too can be that in my life. And so that's how it's influenced me. But I won't give you all of it. I'll just give you the I. But they
All
initiated
right.
change.
I can't wait to read it too. All
Yeah.
right. Now, this one I have read.
Yeah. All right, so the formula chart for life, and this one, it also gets me excited. This was my fourth book, and it came about, growing up, I had struggles in math, as far as I can remember, with just really tough time. And, out of college, I'm a teacher, former coach. Out of college, well, when I was doing my student teaching, my mentor teacher asked me, like, what do you struggle with? What do you think you could be better on? What are your strengths? So I told you I struggle with math. So the lady put me in a math class to do my student teaching. Right? Like, okay, I'm not gonna talk to you anymore, lady. No, but but it was good for me, because it helped me fight through my fears of the things that I thought that I was incompetent in, and it allowed me to, the things that I struggle with. It allowed me to help others be better, those students be better at that. So I think that experience really helped me. And then fast forward, I was able to co-teach a chemistry class, and in math and in chemistry, those classes have formula charts, right, that you use to you plug in what you need and you get the answer based off the formula. And so for me, that's what I was like, man, these things like that applies to life. Like I can put this and this there, yeah, or that gives me answers to life, right? So I started making notes, and so that's how I came up with the formula chart for life. There's formulas in there that really simple, and like the book, like it's no writing, it's all formulas, right? And so I think the beauty of that is it allows the reader to plug in their situations in their life and get the answers that they need to help them. And so that's the formula chart for life, and that's the second book. But enough about me. All right, let's get to you guys. All right, because that's what I've been excited for. But Tammy, let's throw it over to you.
All right, and I'm just going to quickly mention my first one, the confident athlete. And I have a belief that confidence is the basis, well, relationships and confidence is the basis for all of our success. And part of this was helping me break the chain that I had because I had this belief that I couldn't write. I made pretty good grades growing up, except in writing, and actually even had a teacher gave me an F on a book report because she said it was too good to be mine. So a lot of behind the book, why I did it, number one, to help athletes and people. It's not just for athletes, but help everyone get off of that confidence roller coaster sooner than I did. And I share strategies that I had used to own my confidence, as I like to say. But then second one, it was just breaking that chain and getting outside my comfort zone and showing that I could do it. So that's enough about that one. But the one that is near and dear to my heart is This Is Good. I know some of you have heard this story, but I'm going to have to tell the story again this evening. The basis of this book comes from an African folk tale called This Is Good. So there was a king in Africa, and he kept his best friend around him no matter where he went, because the best friend would remind him, this is good. It could be the worst day in the world, and the best friend would say, this is good. So they go hunting one day, and he loads the king's rifle for him. I about got ahead of myself there. But he loads the king's rifle for him, and it backfires and blows the king's thumb off. And the king is irate and throws him in jail. All the way to jail, the best friend was like, this is good. This is good. He's in jail, and the other guys in the jail were like, you're an idiot. This isn't good. Your best friend just threw you in jail. No, this is good. He's in jail for 1.5 years. And in the meantime, the king goes out on another hunting party, and they're captured by a band of cannibals. The cannibals are going to kill and eat them one by one. Well, they get to the king, and they were very superstitious and did not believe in killing or eating anything that wasn't whole. So they saw he didn't have a thumb, and they let him go. He was like, oh my gosh, my best friend just saved my life. And he hurries back to the prison and gets down on his knees and says, please, please, please forgive me. The best friend, of course, says, this is good. The king says, I know it was good for me. You saved my life, but I've wasted 1.5 years of your life. And the best friend says, no, this was good for me too. For you see, I could have been with you and killed and eaten. So that's how I kicked this book off, with that story. And it leads into how it's helped people. But what I get from that and why it's resonated with me, why I wear it on my wrist every day, this is good. It's such a powerful reminder that nothing is good or bad till we decide it is. And if we can keep our brains mentally alive long enough to get past that short-term result we don't like, something different, most likely even better that we couldn't imagine, is going to happen. Or there's going to be an amazing learning lesson that propels us forward in life. So again, I think there's real power in your mindset in seeing adversity as something good and overcoming that short-term result. And I'm really excited tonight because I think the 3 following books really tie into that and speak to the power of overcoming. So that's enough about that. And last thing I'm going to share is the confidence calendar. I put it out every month. If you would like to get on the email list to receive every month, you can go to my website. It's at the bottom there. If you scroll down, then you can sign up for it. But it's just a great reminder that your confidence is based on what you say, do, and think daily. So again, I'm excited now to hear from our guest.
All right, Tammy, great job. I think, from hearing that, there were 4 words, but 3 words and then 1 word that came to mind for me. The first is, hey, this is good. Okay. Hey, and then the one single word is, I think you know that one. Boom.
Boom.
All right.
We've been doing this too long, Chip.
I know, right? Hey, and if we're going to do it, we're going to have fun. How about that?
Exactly.
Well, our next author coming up, amazing lady, excited to hear about what she has going on. So, Amberly, you're up.
Oh, thank you. You know what? Y'all are so much fun. I'm so grateful to be here. I need to come every week just so I can get a smile. And I was like, wow, I don't have a fancy slide to share when I talk. And I'm like, oh my gosh, y'all made some fancy slide for me. So thank you. I'm Amberly Lago, and I'm the author of True Grit and Grayson. And I love your book, Tammy. I've had a chance to start reading your book, and Chip, I can't wait to read your new book. I started writing down the acronym for impact, so I got to have the rest of it, so I've got to read your book. But I was inspired. I love how you shared how it took confidence to write your book. It definitely took confidence for me when I decided to write my book. I didn't even own a computer. I lived my whole life on the dance floor and the gym floor. And after a near fatal accident and 34 surgeries to save my leg from amputation and being diagnosed with a nerve disease ranked highest on the pain scale, it's called the suicide disease because there's no known cure and it leaves you in so much pain. When I hit rock bottom and was able to dig deep and find the grit to get through that, but also by the grace of God, got through some of the most challenging days of my life with lots of prayers and an enormous amount of support from friends and family, thank goodness, and amazing doctors. I thought, I really want to write a book. And I had so many people saying, good luck, girl. You don't even have a college education. You don't even own a computer. How are you going to type it up? And so I hand wrote it. And it came out differently, and it was very cathartic. And it was really, my intention was I really wanted to share what I had learned from pain and how I turned it to purpose. And True Grit and Grace is really a call to your resilience, a call to your courage, a call to claiming the life that you have always imagined, no matter even if your circumstances have narrowed your possibility. And so I think that we all have that resilience within us. And so I really wanted to write this, even though I had a lot of people saying, you are crazy, you will never write it. I decided to write it, went to the Mac store or the Apple store, bought a computer, took a class on how to even use a computer. And this is only about 4 years ago, so it's a miracle I'm on Zoom. And then lo and behold, I worked my butt off every day to try to build a brand and didn't know what I was doing on social media, but did it anyway and got called to be on the Today Show the day that my book launched. Holy moly, that was like winning the lottery. And it felt really good to have, and I took a screenshot of it when it was a bestseller on Amazon because I had so many people telling me, good luck, you'll never do that. And I was like, I did it. So to see, it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And it's been the most rewarding thing I've ever done because it has brought me meaningful connections and conversations that matter. And it has led me to this amazing community here. So I am excited to hear more about all of your books and support you any way that I can. So please reach out to me, whether it's email or social media. I hang out on Instagram mostly. You can shoot me a DM and I look forward to meeting you. And thanks for letting me share a little bit about my book.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, Amberly. I have
Thank
started
you.
digging into yours, and I'm having a hard time putting it down. So thank you for joining us tonight. You're an amazing inspiration.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Jeff, you're up.
Hey guys, well, hey, thank you so much for the invitation to be here. Really appreciate that. This is a pretty special group to me, so really enjoy being a part of this. This book here, Fear to Fuel, actually similar to Chip's first book, is a compilation of 18 different coaches that I was invited to be a part of a summit. A wonderful lady in the Czech Republic organized it, and it was for female entrepreneurs. And what we ended up doing is 18 of us coaches that presented at that summit ended up putting a chapter each to create this book. And that's where this book came from. But the cool part about this for me was that it really changed my focus on what I was coaching. Because my contribution to this book ended up really focusing a lot on our self-talk and how our self-talk really has an impact on what we accomplish in life. And, it was the idea of it came about listening to an interview of Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. And that really inspired me. And what that did for me was it really changed where I was going with my coaching, because I was really focused on just the business side of coaching and whatnot. And it really made a shift that I started looking a lot more at mindset and those sort of things. And that's actually how I ended up meeting Tammy, which turned into a blessing as well, because one, I use her book quite a bit with my clients now. But two, because she opened up a world of people such as yourselves to me. In fact, Chip was the first one she introduced me to. And it has been very influential on my thoughts, my coaching, everything. And so I really appreciate that. And, this book, it's got some other amazing authors in it too. And you can get it at jeffhagee.com/fear to fuel as a free ebook. And so I just appreciate the opportunity to be here and share this with y'all. And thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Jeff. It's been a blessing to have connected with you and continuing to grow together. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff, Jeff. I was, first off, you were talking about Tammy's book. It's the same way for me. I with, people, my life coaching that I coach, like I use, her and her books as a resource too. So that's a little confession there. I don't know if I ever told her that. but now you know.
Y'all are helping my confidence here. I don't need the confident athlete anymore.
Let's go. And then the next thing, I know, like Jeff said, she connected us, and man, we had an amazing conversation. We've interviewed each other. I have done some things, and I was telling Tammy, the interview when he interviewed me was awesome. It had some in-depth stuff. Had me saying some things that I didn't know I had in me. I was like, who is that guy? Who is that guy? But we had a good time. So Jeff, thank you so much. All right. Our last author that we'll highlight this evening is Jesse Cruz. And Jesse, you're up, my man.
Thank you so much, Chip. So whenever I share my story, I rewind back to my wife and I wanting to have a child together. And so we had prayed for it to happen, and then it didn't happen. And after years, eventually, my wife became pregnant, and it was the time of our life. It was a dream come true. Our family was complete. And then suddenly I had to rush her to the hospital. When I brought her to the hospital, they said, you know what, Mrs. Cruz, you're going into labor right now. And we looked at each other and we pretty much said that was impossible, because our daughter was supposed to be born in May and it was January. So we're like, there's no way. They said, no, you're about to have this baby at any moment. You got to get into an ambulance right now. We're going to rush you to another hospital that can deliver this child. We said, okay. We got in the ambulance. We went to the hospital. As soon as we get into the hospital doors, we were surrounded by doctors and nurses. And they said, Mr. and Mrs. Cruz, your child's about to be born any second. He said, the chances of survival are not good. I said, okay, what are they? They said, 15% chance of survival if she is born naturally. I said, okay, well, what's the other option? They said, at best, 20% chance of her living if we do an emergency C-section right now. So my wife and I looked at each other. We didn't know what to do, but we put our hope in that 5%. As soon as we said emergency C-section, they rushed her out of the room and without me being able to go. And so in that moment, I felt broken and hopeless because I always wanted to be there when my children were born. But in this situation, I couldn't be there. So I felt like a failure as a father and as a husband. And so I just sat in that room and I cried and I prayed, hoping everything would be okay. And then the nurse came in shortly after and said, she's alive. So I celebrated. So I finally got to go visit my daughter. And my wife and I went to go see her for the very first time. This little 1-pound girl was born. And so she was in serious condition because of how premature she was, 4 months premature. She was only 1 pound. And so every day we were concerned about what was going to happen with her. She had some really good days and then she had some setbacks. And then she'd have some good days and then some setbacks. And this was the process that repeated over and over again. And then there came a moment where I watched her flatline. And then they saved her again. And then the flatline is something that, unfortunately, I watched on a regular basis, watching my child in front of me die and come back to life. And as a parent, that's hard to watch. And then one day, she flatlined for the final time. And I walked out of that hospital broken, a complete mess. And never thought in my life I'd be able to share this story with anybody. But I wanted to carry on her life and her legacy and her memory. And I went to, a lot of counseling. I went to a lot of support groups. I did a lot of writing, a lot of crying, and finally said, you know what, it's time for me to share this story with the world. My daughter, Faith, her life and legacy is going to live on because of this story. And when I was broken, the only hope that I have is the hope that I get to see her again. The hope that I have is in the healing, and the hope that I have is in sharing the story with everybody. And so losing faith, finding hope has just been a blessing. It's touching lives all over this country and internationally. And I'm just so thankful for anyone who's taking the time to support the book and listen to my story. And thank you guys so much for giving me this platform to share. Thank you.
Man,
wow.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jesse. I don't have the words to speak right now.
Yeah.
Thank you for your vulnerability and sharing that.
Yeah, I think too, just to comment on that, I think a lot of times when we write books, the process of being vulnerable and putting it out there, yes, it helps us heal and get better. But I think what we don't realize is how many people in the world that it will help, that our vulnerability will help. And so, even just hearing you discuss that story, and it just lit a fire in me, just helped me. And so, man, thanks so much for being vulnerable and putting your experience in the book.
Absolutely. One thing I just learned through that process is like the one thing that was crushing me the most was going to be the exact same thing that was going to be used to lift me up and build others up through the process.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I think too, when you are able to do it, it lights you on fire and gives you that passion to do it to help others.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Well, that concludes our final author for the evening. And we'll just have some closure here. And Tammy, I'll kick it over to you.
All right. Again, we appreciate the power in the different power of so many levels of all three of you and sharing that, not just with us, but the world. I know we had a couple others join us, and Andrea, good to see you. Eric, glad you joined us. Do you guys have any comments or want to say anything?
I can just say, thank you for like what you said, being vulnerable and sharing those stories. And that important piece about how what you are willing to share with others really makes an impact on the world and helps them heal in a way that I'm sure as your readers read your texts, you will hear about more and more. So thank you for sharing all of that.
Absolutely.
Anybody? Yeah. Any other comments for each other or questions?
I would just wanted to say thank you for putting this together tonight so we could all come together. I really appreciate being a part of this group and this community. And yeah, Jesse, thank you for your vulnerability. I think that I can see that, you know, I know that writing my book really helped me heal. And I want to get your book for my husband because I think he still has a little PTSD from everything he experienced from me being in and out of the hospital so much. And I want him to hear more of how you share. He's a lieutenant commander. Well, he just retired, but he's very like this tough guy. And I think it would help him heal to just hear how you share so vulnerably, just to let him know that he can kind of let his wall down. And he would be so mad at me right now if he knew I was even sharing this. But what you shared really touched my heart, that you're able to take something that was so painful and use it in service to help others. It's just a beautiful thing. So I can't wait to read your book. And Jeff, I'm following you on Instagram and I can't wait to read your book too. So thank you again for allowing me to be here.
Yeah, please. You can just DM me on Instagram. We can connect further there. You can ask me questions. Feel free to reach out at any time. And so, yeah, any questions that you may have in that process of sharing, and especially for men, it is more of a challenge sometimes to share those things. So I'm all about, you know, empowering people to share their story. So thank you.
And just for me, thank you as well. Appreciate the opportunity to be here with y'all. And again, to Chip and Tammy, thanks for helping me grow my network and meeting some new amazing people. So thank you all for everything you offered tonight.
Yes, sir.
Well, Chip and I say this almost every time we finish these book tours, and we mean it, every ounce of us, but it amazes us, the amazing people we have met. Yes. This was just off the cuff idea that we had. Was it last February? So it's been going on a year and a couple months. And, you know, COVID had hit. We wanted to bring people together. We wanted to support books. I don't know how many books people have sold from it, but I know the impact it's made by the people we're connecting and that we're getting to know. My life has been extremely blessed by the people that I've been put in contact through this book tour, and really want to encourage you guys to reach out. I'm going to send you the list of all the former guests that we've had. We try to keep it a family and a community, yes, and really sharing and connecting with each other. So thank you guys for continuing it, and you've blessed us even further tonight.
No doubt. And you know, Andrea is one of the authors that was on as well. She's here with us, but it's great. You know, again, I just want to reiterate, you know, please go back when you get the information and reach out to those other authors because they all have amazing stories too that'll blow you away. And it's great to share and learn from them. And like she said, just be, you know, a family in the community, because we can all help one another. You know, just like, you know, Tammy and I got on, you know, how you doing this? How you do that? You know, so like we just continue to learn, and it's great to be in that environment.
Hey, thank you guys. Keep making a difference that you are.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Nice to meet y'all. Have a good night.
All right.